Good morning. Welcome to Just for Today, a time of eclectic reading, sharing of perspectives, meditation, and prayer. Excuse me. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader of Columbia and Greater Baltimore Centers for Spiritual Living. We just joined together as one. So this morning, what called to me, Jesus and the Disinherited by the amazing Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman. And here's what it opened to this morning. Above and beyond all else, it must be borne in mind that hatred tends to dry up the springs of creative thought in the life of the hater, so that theirs, resourcefulness becomes completely focused on the negative aspects of their environment. The urgent needs of the personality for creative expression are starved to death. A man's horizon may become so completely dominated by the intense character of their hatred that there remains no creative residue in their mind and spirit to give to great ideas, to great concepts. That's pretty powerful. Um, Hatred is a thing, and it's a thing that indeed I have experienced the overwhelming nature of hatred to where it truly cancels everything. And if I stay in the hatred long enough, I lose perspective to even want to get rid of it or want to find joy. I get so attached to the energy of hatred. It's a false energy because the adrenaline associated with hatred certainly makes me feel alive. And yet, mentally and spiritually, I'm dead as a doorknob because there's no creativity left. There's nothing to apply to anything. There's just this energy to sit and stew in and become more done. Uh, Curious how hatred shows up in you. Because at some point, if we're being honest, at some point, hatred shows up in all of us. And are we brave enough? Are we courageous enough to own that? It's a thing. It feels like a dead zone. Yes, Deborah, I get that. It does feel like a dead zone. Um, yeah. I will. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to read the last bit of this, because this is a book about Jesus and the disinherited. So he goes on to talk about how Jesus dealt with hatred, and it's just a couple of sentences. Jesus rejected hatred. It was not because he lacked the vitality or the strength. It was not because he lacked the incentive. Jesus rejected hatred because he saw that hatred meant death to the mind, death to the spirit, death to communion with his Father. He affirmed life, and hatred was the great denial. To him, it was clear. Thou must not make division. Thy mind, heart, soul, and strength must ever search to find the way by which the road to all men's need of thee must go. This is the highway of the Lord. I think that's amazingly powerful. Um, he knew that hatred meant death to the mind, death to the spirit, death to communion with the divine. Um, and I think it is. I think it's the ultimate division. I think it's the place where we really enact and stay energizing duality. And I think that's why it's so painful and such a spiritual death, because we literally cut ourselves off from a mental, emotional, spiritual connection of our own essence. I can't hate anything and not hate myself. Remember, this is a teaching about oneness. Right? In order for me to buy into hate, I have to go to duality. It's a thing, but it's a thing we can navigate if we help each other come back to self, if we support one another in remembering the truth of who we are, and make space for us to talk about the pain, the human pain that is showing up as hatred. Because I think most of the time, what's really happening in that space that we call hatred is a sense of hopelessness, is a sense of desperation, is a sense of defeatedness. And it's in those places that we most need to remember and be reminded of who we are, the truth of who we are, that we are creative, that we have, that we are the power to change. But we have to start with ourselves. So I'm going to read this first part of this one more time as I take us into our time of meditation. Above and beyond all else, it must be borne in mind that hatred tends to dry up the springs of creative thought in the life of the hater, so that their resourcefulness becomes completely focused on the negative aspects of their environment. The urgent needs of the personality for creative expression are starved to death. A person's horizons may become so completely dominated by the intense character of their hatred that there remains no creative residue in their mind and spirit to give to great ideas, to great concepts. So let's take that into our 5-minute meditation practice. love, life. This is the energy of creation, the essence of creation, the substance of creation, infinite possibility, one undefined energy that is the substance of everything. It is the substance of this room I'm sitting in, the technology that I'm using. It is the body that I live in. It is what lives in the body. One indivisible energy. Whatever we call it, it is beyond a name. It is beyond a definition. It expresses an exquisitely individualized multiplicity. No two expressions of itself alike. And every expression of itself fully infused with itself. So it can never be separate. No place to separate to. This one love, this one life is the diversity of creation. It is the omnipresence of life. It is the omniscience of life. It is the omnipotence of life. All power, all expressing, all unified within and as one. As I let that sink in and let that remind me that that is the truth of who I am. That is the truth of all life. What is true of one is true of all. I take responsibility for the thoughts in my brain, recognizing that those thoughts move this substance that all life is into manifestation. I take responsibility for the errant movement of substance into hurtful expressions. And I claim and affirm that I am refocused, reloving, reliving. That I'm releasing everything that is out of alignment with the truth of being. More than the truth of my being, I come to the whole, indivisible, undivided, the harmonious operation of one. And I commit myself to living in that harmonious operation of one. Refusing to divide. Holding myself accountable to see past behavior, to see beyond behavior, to the core of being. allowing love to connect with love, allowing peace to connect with peace, allowing the energy of life itself to energize life, the connection of life, the preciousness of life, the expression of life. I claim and affirm that love is the activity of my life. Love and only love. Accountability begins with me. And so I free myself to be the most amazing expression of life that is for me to be. I release myself from the prison of limited thoughts, knowing that as I release myself, I release all of humanity. Free to be all that each came here to be. Free to stumble, to fall, to get up and go again. Free of any guilt, shame, or blame, empowered by the glory of effort, by the wisdom of learning, by beginner's mind that just says yes. And I am grateful. I'm grateful for the activity of law, the soul of creation. It simply does the doing of creation exactly as it is believed, exactly as it is envisioned. It simply responds and makes it so. And so I can receive the physical expression of belief as information about what is being believed in mind. And I can receive it in the same impersonal way it is made manifest. And in that harmonious operation of one, I own that I have a part in every manifestation. And so I let go of my human idea of control. I let go of that fear-based energy and replace it with faith. A faith that is a deep, unquestioned abiding in the essence of life. A belief in the substance, the unseen substance, the foundational consciousness is the faith I stand in. Allowing my humanness to be guided, to be led. I say yes. Yes is my release. Yes. Ashe. Aho. Shalom. Amen. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.